He will be one of you. He is a blue-collar guy. He wants to win. He will do everything he can to try to turn that franchise around.
Great pass catcher, basketball background, athletic. He's got great length, tremendous catch radius. He will be a real factor.
6'4", 270. He sets a physical edge in the run game. Violent hands. Impacts the quarterback in the pass game.
With the first pick in the DML draft, the Houston Texans select
Yo, what's going on, fellas? I want to welcome y'all to the DML Network, where we will be having the mock draft for the 2025 draft. Saturday, the DML is hosting the draft that takes place at 11 a.m. May 25th. So make sure you tune in for this remarkable draft that the DML will be having. I'm sure all the owners are excited. They've been doing all their scouting, making trades, trying to put themselves in a position to grab the best available players. Now, I got my homie Bruce Kuiper on the mic with me. How's it going, Bruce?
Hey, it's going good, Bus. Ready to hop in these picks like we always do. You know, at the end of the year, at the beginning of the year, let's jump into it. Let them know what we think.
Gotcha. So, last night, man, the combine concluded, and we had some players that performed really well, and we had some that did not perform really well. So I'm guessing they're hoping for a bounce back on their pro day, which is a lot of them are happening today and first thing in the morning. They're having their pro days to kind of bounce back from these terrible combine numbers. Some guys will perform in the pro day and some guys won't. Now, I think this draft is really deep. So how do you compare this draft to last year's draft, Mr. Kuiper?
Now, Bus, I think personally, this draft is way deeper than the last draft we just had. I feel like the last draft was a little top heavy, but I've talked to some other experts. You know, we've been talking amongst others down in Atlanta at this combine, and as a whole, there really isn't a drop off. Like, some guys tested bad in some areas, but as a whole, this is the best draft through the first 3 rounds that we've seen in this cycle. I mean, you know, I know we've been talking about it, but you might have a little more in-depth synopsis on that. What do you think? You know.
Man, I really think this is probably one of the best and deepest drafts that I've seen in the DML throughout this Madden cycle. There've been some great ones, but I think this one is going to be right up and stand tall against the other drafts that we've had. This draft is really deep, and I think that's why you see a lot of guys move around, trying to get in position and trying to gain more picks to get those stud players that we all want. So, hey man, let's not keep the guys waiting. Let's go ahead and dive into these first 10 picks. And first on the board are the Denver Broncos, coming in at the number 1 overall pick. Now, me and you both have different, options right here, or we have different selections. I have the Broncos taking Brent Runyon from LSU. Now, this, to me, you may think different, Bruce Kuiper. I think Brent Runyon is the best overall player in this draft. When you look at his numbers or the combine, he comes in first in everything as far as the strong safety position. Now, the Broncos last year selected wide receiver Denard Hill. So he went offense. He went with the offensive route. Hill didn't really pan out like he thought he should, or many others thought he should. So this is why I think he goes to the defensive side of the ball and takes Brent Runyon out of LSU. Now, I see you have somebody different. You have him taking cornerback Paul Herman from Michigan State. Tell me why you have him taking Herman versus me having him take Brent Runyon out of LSU.
Okay, well, first let me start by saying off Bus, I think you got it right. I think that Brent Runyon is the number 1 overall best player in this draft. But from my experience from this year from being in the DML, I feel that most users think that safeties are kind of dime a dozen versus where corners are, a little bit more rare. They're more like a unicorn, you know what I mean? It's harder to find that corner. So I think from the reason why I went there, I feel like the Broncos feel like maybe, first pick, second round, they can grab whatever the best safety is available. And I feel like they think that the best safety available at that time would be better than the best corner available. So they need help in their secondary, definitely. And I think that Paul Herman, the reason I have Paul Herman up here is because I think Paul Herman is the best corner in this draft. Now, also, I want to say that this is the best cornerback draft at the top, and also throughout the whole list that I've seen since I've been here. These guys really put on a show. The DBs really did put on the show. Paul Herman, he's very productive at Michigan State. He caught 16 picks in 3 years as a starter there. Also, what I think that separates him is the competition that he was seeing every day in practice. He was going against the number 1 overall receiver, Denard.
Yes, Aaron Denard.
Aaron Denard for the past 3 years. And as you'll see, as people will see as we go through our list, we both have Denard in our top 10. He's definitely legit. I actually had an interview with him last night at the Combine, and I talked to him, and I just wanted to know, what helped with his development. And he told me one statement. He said, iron sharpens iron. And he said that's what Coach D'Antonio preaches, and that's what they go by. And he said he saw the best every single day in practice, and it made Saturdays easy. And he kind of backed that up with his production during the year. So, man, I love your pick at 1. Brett Runyon is my number 1 guy as far as rating in the class. But I think the Broncos are going to go cornerback because that's just kind of a trend, and I think he'll try to pick up a safety in the second round.
Gotcha. I mean, I think he'll do well with any one of these picks, Brett Runyon or Paul Herman. If he gets this guy, I mean, he can pair him up with the cornerback that he drafted a few seasons ago, and I'm trying to locate his name right now. Do you know his name by chance?
I can't remember his name on top of my head.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Right here. This is him right here. Shedrick Fletcher. He's a guy that he drafted a few seasons ago. So if you pair him up with Brent Runyon or Paul Herman, the Broncos secondary can become elite.
Agreed.
And become elite. So it would actually help him defend against the Chiefs with those fast receivers. So either way it go, this will be a great pick for the Broncos. Now, let's keep it moving, man. We're going to move on to the Buffalo Bills, and this is where I have the Bills selecting Paul Herman. And there's really not much for me to say about Paul Herman. I think you mentioned it earlier with you having him go to the Broncos. The one aspect that you did miss, I actually talked to Deion Sanders, prime time, and he feels Paul Herman is the best cornerback in this draft, in last year's draft, and the year before. He's been watching Herman ever since Pop Warner, and he's actually invited. He's been to a lot of Deion's cornerback camps, and he just always stands out. So the Bills can pair him up with Tavarius White, and their secondary will be elite as well. Now, you have a guy going to Buffalo that I really like, and I had a hard time making this pick for the Bills selecting Paul Herman, but you have him picking James Trevino from Southern Cal.
Yes, but man, hey, you get to talk to Deion. You big time. I ain't that big yet, so that's why I ain't get that interview.
Yeah.
But James Trevino, man, he's my favorite linebacker in this class. And, a lot of people say why, because a lot of people talk about Shatley out of Clemson. We'll get to him later. Right. But Trevino has a football pedigree. Trevino's dad was a linebackers coach in the NFL and in the college ranks for years. Well known, so, James grew up around football.
Yes.
He grew up around it, and you can tell by the way he plays on the field. At USC, he was making the calls. He was the captain of the defense. He was making the calls. He had great field awareness, and he was always putting his team in the right play, in the right position, which is why USC was in the college football playoff the past 2 years. But, off of him and a couple other guys. But the reason why I have him here is I think he's the most all-around linebacker in this class. If you look at his combine numbers, he killed it in the 40. He killed it also in the 20-yard shuttle and 3-cone, and he had a good bench. But on the field, he played in the 3-4 scheme, which is similar to what the Bills run. And I know he already has Edwards, but I think he pairs him up with Edwards and puts him beside him. And I think he'll end up using him. And if he doesn't, Trevino played in an attacking 3-4, which means there's multiple linebackers blitzing at different times. And so he had to play a lot of man coverage on either the slot receiver or he had to play on the back coming out of the backfield.
Right.
And if you ask scouts who have watched film on this guy this year, they'll tell you that his man coverage is comparable to Herman. It's comparable to a Payne. It's comparable to a Francisco out of the U. So I think this guy would be a great pick for the Bills, and I think he's a great scheme fit right off the top of their team. Do you have anything else to add on that, Bud?
Well, if you're saying, he's able to guard or cover slot guys and running backs out of the backfield, I feel like this guy is really going to be fast, and his combine numbers show that. So don't think just because you see a linebacker line up in covers and he's covering the slot guy that's a player you can take advantage of, because James Trevino will make you pay. So I like the pick. I just have him going later on to another team in the draft. Now, let's keep it moving, man. We're going to move on to pick 3. And many of us think this is America's team, but I don't really agree with that. So I have the Dallas Cowboys picking Aaron Denard. And I got back-to-back Michigan State players. So, as you mentioned earlier, Aaron Denard faced Paul Herman every day in practice. Those guys were actually roommates, and they pretty much just gelled together. So now this could be a misleading pick because last year the Cowboys selected Heinz Chamberlain from the U, who's another guy. So even though I have him picking a wide receiver, that wide receiver 4 is going to get a little crowded. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like the Cowboys are going to address the wide receiver position again, and I feel like Aaron Denard is probably one of the best, if not the best receiver in this draft. On the field, he's great. He's had a few off the field issues, but those are some things that I think if he gets with the right team and, probably get with some type of, counselor or something, he can overcome those issues that he has. I'm not going to air him out because that's not my job. I think
right.
I'm not going to send out the red flags. I'm just saying he has a few off the field issues that he needs to get corrected. So you have the Dallas Cowboys picking Francis George. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not drafting nobody who's named Francis. So I'm gonna let you speak about Francis George here.
Hey, well, I'm gonna flip that though. Like, if you grow up with a name like Francis or some other somewhat feminine name, you gotta have some dog in you to survive.
Gotcha.
Now, not only does this guy Francis George have some dog in him, but he went to the U, so we already know it, known for the great DB pedigree. So also though, George, the reason why I like him here, if you look at HBO's secondary, they need help, and they need help bad.
Yes.
George gives you versatility. George is a 6'2" corner, but when he first got to the U, he came in as a safety out of high school. But, he got into his first camp. He showed the team they had some good hips. His first time actually playing was as a freshman, but he was guarding the Gunners on punt return. So they saw how fluid he was. He was locking up guys on the outside, and they were getting good returns. So also in camp, they saw him locking up receivers in the slot, and he was a better man cover than he was a zone guy. So they decided to go ahead and move him outside, see how they work. Well, it ended up working for them, and he had a great career there. At the combine this weekend, he just ran a 4.37. They did a couple small drills, showing off press coverage. He was a lead in that. He's got game film backing that up. And I talked to the owner HBO. He likes guys from the youth, just like you said. He took Haynes Chamberlain last year. I feel like it kind of matches his personality.
Right.
So I think he's going to go with. I really think he's going to go with George here at 3.
Yeah. Honestly, I think George will be a solid pick. This is what I like about George, and as we all know, the U created the motivational aspect of the game with the turnover chain.
Yes,
well, when I looked at the highlights from every week, Francis wore the chain every week. So what does that tell me? He creates turnovers and gets the ball back to the offense. This is something that the Cowboys need, and this is a player that will help them be on the other side of the turnover differential. Normally they're on the plus side, and that's not where you want to be, or is it? Maybe I said that wrong. But you want to be in a situation where you can create turnovers and get the ball back to your team so they can provide points and possibly get a win. So I like George in that aspect. I like that he's maintained the turnover chain pretty much every week, and maybe he brings the Cowboy turnover chain. So we'll see how this plays out. Now let's move on to the 4th pick, and it's the Dallas Cowboys again. Now we both kind of had the positions, but we just had them swapped. Well, I got him taking Vincent Payne to address the cornerback slot. Vincent Payne is out of Nebraska. It's a very cold city and a cold environment, so I think he's going to enjoy coming down to Dallas playing in AT&T Stadium. Now, Vincent Payne, he'll come in and possibly start, or he'll definitely be in that slot position. But I'm thinking if I'm picking a guy at number 4, he's going to come in and start and play right away. Vincent Payne is a ball hawk as well. He actually led the Cornhuskers the last 2 seasons in deflections, interceptions, and pick sixes. So this is another guy that I think can create turnovers for the Cowboys and possibly get them out of this range of picks that they're picking in. They're normally always in the top 5. You want to get out of that. So Payne comes in at 6'2", 191. He's a man cover corner and ran a 4.39. So he got speed and size. So let's move on to your pick, and you got him going deep down into Colorado State, taking Kadaro Roberts.
Yes, sir. A lot of people might not even know who Kadaro Roberts. They might not even know who he was before this weekend. But this kid came in and ran a 4.28. Now,
wow.
Yeah,
hold
blazing.
On. Say that again for the people that didn't hear you.
A 4.28.
4.28.
Blazing.
That's how fast he is right there.
He is blazing. Got blazing speed. And also had a good 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle. He had a 6.67 in the 3-cone and a 3.99 in the 20-yard shuttle, meaning that this kid's going to have acceleration to boot on top of that speed. Now, I personally think that this is a reach, but I'm just going off of previous owner history. I think H-Boy at this spot is going to see this. He's going to be shocked. And I know he had a fast receiver paired with Bass before, and I kind of think he regrets getting rid of Bass. I think that he tries to make amends and grabs another fast receiver right here. I think he goes down and is totally possibly going to be a reach because there's another good receiver that we'll talk about, or that you've already talked about, the pick before, that he could get, but I don't think he's doing that. I think he's going bigger going home and shooting for a home run. Now, talking about the kid himself, Kadaro Roberts ran a track at Colorado State, and that's kind of why he has a background in speed. But he's only played football for 2 years. He wasn't originally on the recruiting class. The coach just came out. Coach Bobo came out and asked him if he'd come out and try out, and came out and tried out. And He's got a nickname called Mr. Nine Route because, if he's even, he's leaving. And if you look at if you look at a couple of his other combine numbers, though, it's a little suspect.
Yeah.
So if you look at his vert, he only jumped 27 inches. He only had a 27-inch vert. That's 45th among the receivers at the combine.
Right.
And he only had an 8.11 broad jump, which is 52nd. So, I had a chance to talk to the kid, and I asked him, and he said, I don't need to jump if nobody's ever near me.
Right.
So when he said that, I kind of took a step back, and I'm like, I like the chip that this kid has on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Now, I also don't think he realizes, maybe he doesn't care. But the secondaries in the DML are elite. There's a bunch of elite secondaries. And this is the NFL. This ain't college. He's not playing MAC ball anymore. He's not playing Mountain West ball anymore. He's playing in the big league. So there's going to be guys that can run with him a little bit. But I do like this kid. I think that he will make an impact. But it's going to take, how is HBO going to use him? Is what it's going to be about.
I think that's going to be the question pertaining to any pick that he makes offensively. Right. You mentioned earlier that his name is what's his nickname? You said.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
What'd you say his nickname was? Nine Route, something like that.
Mr. Nine Route.
Mr. Nine Route. Well, in Dallas, from the tape that I've seen, that's what they run. So he'll fit in. The only question is who's going to get the ball. It's only one football, and if Kadar Roberts goes down there and tag teams with Meyer and Raby and Chamberlain, there could be some tension between those receivers because one person is not going to get the ball when one person feel like they should. So they're going to have to work that out to see and just play together and be proud of each other when they try to get these Dallas Cowboys some wins. So let's move on to the 5th pick, man, and then got the Titans coming in, and here I got him taking Francis George. You've said a lot about Francis George. Where he's from speaks for itself. Do you? They all their players are fast. They have some dog in them, and they have a great tradition down there. So I'm sure he's going to try to bring that winning tradition to the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are another team that normally picks in the top 5, so he wants to get them back to winning and feeling proud about the Tennessee Titans. So, question here: George fits in with the Titans that they have Adoree Jackson and they have Joseph Mentor. He'll come in right there and fit well with those veterans. Now, this is my guy that you had going to the Titans, and that's Brett Runyon.
Now, Buzz, Brett Runyon, you've already said a lot about him, man. I'm only going to add a little bit. Now, Brett Runyon, they had a nickname for him. He's only 5'10", smaller stature, but he's very, very similar to the Honey Badger. So they came up with a nickname with him after they saw him play a year. They called him the White Badger. Now, the White Badger can do it all. Right. He can do it all. He can play man. He can play zone. He can hit. Literally does it all. And as you saw, he was literally number 1 in every single testing category at this combine. Now, like I said, I'm not going to say much. I think he's the number 1 overall player in this draft. I think because of the way people pick, he's going to slide down. And I think the Titans are going to hit a home run in this spot, Buzz. Do you agree?
I totally agree. And this is the one aspect that I like about Brett Runyon. Not only can he play safety, I kind of think he can move down to the cornerback position as well.
Definitely.
He has some very smooth hips. He can transition really well. So I think whoever gets him, they can play him at safety or they can play him at cornerback. So,
Buzz, I didn't want to give out no chicken for real, but if you talk to some of the other subject matter experts, as the fancy people would say, he has better zone coverage than all of the top corners in the top 4 that we mentioned. He plays zone better.
Right.
He fits the mold. He's an old school corner, 5'10". These other cats are big dogs up at the line bullying folks.
Yeah.
He can play off man. He can play off zone with no problem. So you're 100% correct on that.
Right. So Brent Runyon will be a great player for any team that drafts him. So we're gonna keep it moving, man, and we moving on to the 6th pick, and that's where the Baltimore Ravens come in, and it's one of my favorite players in the draft, man. And I have the Ravens picking James Trevino. Now, James Trevino is from Southern Cal. They have a great tradition and pedigree of linebackers there. You can help me out with some of them. I know Clay Matthews is from there. What's the other guy that played for the Texans?
Linebacker, obviously. Cushman? Not Cushman.
Yeah, Brian Cushman.
Brian
Cushman. So that's 2 off the top right there. That shows you the type of linebackers and players that Southern Cal developed.
I got one more.
What you got?
Buddy from the Bengals back in Ray Maguella. I think they was all there at the same time.
They was all there at the same time. So Southern Cal produces great players and great linebackers, man. So I have the Ravens selecting James Trevino. Last year the Ravens went to the offensive side and they drafted what's the quarterback? Reed Bakatari from Ohio State. Now he's sitting behind a few guys, but I think he's just waiting for his chance. So I can't really label that pick as a bust, but James Trevino would come in and start, and he'll tag team with EJ Gray and all the great defensive guys that's on that side of the ball. Now, the Ravens did win the Super Bowl the year before, so they have that winning tradition down there, and I think James Trevino will fit right in with the Ravens. Now, you have them picking a guy from my favorite school, and that's Dabo Swinney's school, Philip Shatley.
Yes, sir. Them Tigers. Them South Carolina Tigers.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I got Philip Shatley here, man. And I like your pick of Trevino if he's there. I really like that pick. I think the Ravens would jump all on that. But I like Philip Stanley because of his production he had this past year. He had 115 tackles in 13 games as Clemson made the college football playoff. The Ravens, as a team, they really need help at wide receiver, linebacker, and tight end. I have on my list. But I think that with their recent history of drafting, they seem to be real heavy on the defensive side. So I think, they just hired Jay Gruden. Coach Harbaugh just retired. And I think Gruden's going to go after Shatley. Shatley killed it at the combine, as a lot of these other guys did. He had the number 1 40 time. All outside linebackers with a 4.48. And I'm hearing a lot of comparisons to Will Clemens. People gave the Ravens ownership their first year a lot of grief for not drafting Will Clemens and going with EJ Gray instead. I think this is the opportunity. If Trevino is there or Shatley is there, I think they'll have a hard time choosing, but I don't see that happening. But Clemens was an outside backer, and I think this would be he's just eerily similar to Clemens. And I don't think that the Ravens will pass him up here. The guy's just completely explosive and was real productive. So I think this would be a great pick for Baltimore if they make it.
Yeah, I really like Shatley out of Clemson. And like I said, I could be biased. Nothing against any other linebackers or players from these other schools, but Clemson normally produces some great players. So we're going to move on and to pick 7. And that's the Los Angeles Rams. And I have them going linebacker as well with Hanson Glennon. Hanson Glennon out of Pitt. Now, there's been a toss-up between who the best linebacker is between Trevino, Shatley, and Glennon. If you ask any one of those players, they're going to say, I'm the best. But I think Glennon could possibly stand out amongst those 3 players. So I got the Rams taking Glennon. Now, last year, the Rams went linebacker as well. And I don't think they were really satisfied with DeAndre Nelson. So I got him going linebacker again to try to make up for that pick that they missed out on last draft. Now, you got him going Nate McCoy out of Wisconsin. What do you like about Nate McCoy?
Man, I think Nate McCoy has top 3 talent in this draft, Bus. 6'3", 312, big fella out of Wisconsin, running a 4.73. And if you didn't think that was enough, this dude did 42 reps on the bench. 42. Wow. 42. Now, the DML doesn't like drafting D linemen this early. I understand that. But if you look at the Rams roster, they still have Aaron Donald who's chugging along at like 34 years old.
Yes.
He's real weak at the D tackle position and the opposite end. He runs a 3-4. This guy can play 3-4 defensive end because of his speed and his strength, or he can play the nose because of how strong he is. You can't go wrong either way. At Wisconsin, he played with Gordon Welch, who's now the stud linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. After Gordon left, he became the captain, so he's got leadership and he's got the production of bat. He had 20 sacks in his career and 40 tackles for loss. This guy has elite ability to shed multiple blockers and make tackles in the backfield, man. I think it's a no-brainer to go here with Nate McCoy. He's just too versatile. He tested well. He's a baller. So if the Rams go here, it'll definitely put him in good shape for high stakes and complete their defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I like Nate McCoy out of Wisconsin, and I like anybody that you can tag team with Aaron Donald.
Right.
Aaron Donald is a pretty good guy, man. He's not one of those players that's like, well, you learn on your own. He's gonna take this rookie up on his wing. He's gonna show Nate McCoy all the ins and outs of playing on the D line. And I think if Aaron Donald can get him up on his wing, show him the ropes, this will be a great pick for Nate for the Rams. So let's move on to pick 8. And we got the dirty birds coming in. And this is where I have the Falcons taking my guy, Philip Shatley. Last year, the Falcons took Rashard Allen out of Florida State, which happened to be a great pick. But I like Philip Shatley here. If you recently saw, I think they just released the linebacker. Is it
DeAndre Campbell?
DeAndre Campbell. They just released DeAndre Campbell, so this will be a great pick for the Falcons to select Philip Shatley. Now, as y'all know, I really like Clemson. I've been down there with Dabo on numerous visits, but I'm gonna keep it real, Dabo. Now, if this was a DN, I probably would not like this pick, and the reason why is because if you look at the history of the DNs that come out of Clemson, they don't pan out well in the DML. I remember the Falcons had Vic Beasley. There was question if Beasley really liked football.
Right.
So if Shatley was the DN, I would not have said Falcons get him. Now, the Tigers do produce pretty good linebackers and DTs. So with Shatley being a linebacker, I like the pick. I think he'll fit right in. I think he'll be a day one starter, and I think he'll help these Falcons, win a few more games. Now, you have them going Aaron Denard, so I'm guessing you see fit for another wide receiver to come in there and tag team with Ridley.
Well, Buzz, I really like your pick too. If I think if Shatley's there, that's who he takes. I just don't see Shatley being around that long. But about Denard, I know you got Denard going early, so you don't see Denard being around that long.
Right.
But Julio just retired, so there's a big spot wide open for somebody else to come in and be a part of that receiving core with Calvin Ridley. And if Denard was to drop, this is just a perfect landing spot for him. Now, I'm also gonna go off a little off top. You gotta watch out for the Falcons now. Falcons just made a move. They already got Rashard Allen, right?
Yes.
They just made a move that might almost be a Cosby, but it might not. He grabbed Mufasa from the Cowboys for a future first. So now, solid, right? Now you talking about Clemson. Now I don't know if you remember. You obviously remember back in the day when they had Thunder and Lightning.
Yeah.
With James Davis and C.J. Spiller. He's got his own version of it, man. He got his own version in Hot Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think that was a great trade by the Falcons to get that 1-2 punch. I think that will at least allow guys to respect the run game. But
Right.
if you're right, and he happens to get Aaron Denard, that's another weapon for the offense, and that's another weapon that other teams have to watch out for, because Aaron Denard is going to stretch the field. So you put him along with Calvin Ridley, this wide receiver core becomes deadly. You know?
Oh yeah, he would have won the offseason if he's able to get Denard here.
Right, and it gives a little youth in that aging wide receiver core as well, because Ridley is 30, Tawan Taylor is 30, and then you got Isaiah Ford who's 29, and the other guys are just hoping that they're on the team when week 1 starts. So
right.
We're gonna keep it moving, man, and we're gonna slide right into pick 9, and that's the Seattle Seahawks, the 12th man. Now, I have them going O-line because when you look on paper and you look at this team from last year and the year before, the O-line seems like it has never been addressed. So
Right.
I got them taking, and sorry, big fella, if I pronounce your name wrong, Xavier Bond. He's gonna go down to Seattle. He's gonna create a real great bond with Albury, because that's the guy he's gonna be protecting, and he's gonna need to be agile, because as we all know, Albury does not stay in the pocket that long. He moves around, so Bond is gonna have to be agile and move along rack with him. Now, if he gets Bond becomes the best player on that offensive line. Immediately, he's the captain, and he tells these other vets what to do, because none of them will compare to Xavier Bond.
Right.
That's the potential and IQ of this guy. He can play any position on the old line, but I let him stay at left tackle to protect Albury and potentially have Albury be I'm not going to say a complete in the pocket quarterback, but it would allow him to stay in the pocket a little bit more and allow those wide receivers routes to develop. Now, you got him taking the cornerback and Vincent Payne from Nebraska.
Right. I got him going Vincent Payne, and I know you got Vincent going earlier, and I could totally see Vincent going earlier. The guy's a stud. Actually, if he dropped this far down, this would totally be a steal for the Seahawks. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. If Vincent Payne is there, I think he grabs him. If Payne goes earlier, he might skip out on the corner and might grab Bond.
Right.
But to be the devil's advocate for what you said, because of Albury being the scrambling quarterback, I think that the Seahawks and their inattention to the O-line shows that they don't value the O-line. Now, I'm not saying that's a smart idea, but everybody has their philosophy, and I think that they live on Albury being able to get out of the pocket. They don't really rely on having their linemen to block for a long time, because that's not their offense. It's more of a lot of play action rollouts. He runs the ball a little bit, but he wants to get outside the pocket. He wants to have live feet with Albury and wants him to have to sling around. So I don't think he's going to go O-line here because of that reason. Now, Vincent Payne, I think that he would grab him for all the obvious reasons that you mentioned earlier. The only thing I'll really add is that you didn't say that, Vincent Payne also won the 100-meter championship on indoor at the Big Ten championship last year. He didn't run track this year in preparation for the draft, but this guy's fast. He's got the acceleration. He plays man well, just like all the other corners we mentioned. This is just a great draft for man-to-man corners, Bus. And I think Payne is, if he's there, then that's where he's going. I think he's going to Seattle.
Yeah, I can see him going either direction or either position, because when I go back and look at this roster, at the Hawks secondary, and strictly talking about the cornerbacks, you got Kyle Fuller, who's 33 years old, so he's on his last toe. You got McPherson, who's 27, and then you got Bradley Robbie, who's on his last leg as well. I believe they have the wheelchair sitting in front of their locker rooms because they're really aging and they can't really move like they used to. So, being that cornerbacks this draft is deep at the cornerback position, I can see him going cornerback and then maybe swinging back around in the later round, getting over lineman.
Mm-hmm.
But the pain is there. Yeah, the Seahawks got to take him. Got to take him. So, let's move to the final pick in the top 10, and that's the Redskins. And I think the Redskins were at pick 10 last year in the draft as well. So they didn't drop, they didn't move. They were pretty much stagnant. So the Redskins are a good team, but they do have some pieces that they need, and they have a running back there now, but I just don't think he's the guy. So I truly believe the Redskins go Deron Reed from Texas A&M. Right now they have Allen Reedy, and he drafted him last year, but I don't think Reedy's the guy. Deron Reed is probably either the best running back in this draft. And being that last year the Skins drafted Blake Meadows at the left guard position to enhance that O-line, you got to get some running backs back there to run behind it. So I got him going Deron Reed out of Texas A&M. He's very shifty. He can do it all, man. He can catch the ball, inside run, outside run. He can pick up the blocks. And what I like about him is his pass protection. This is an issue that a lot of rookie running backs have coming into the DML. They don't pick up the blitzes as well as they should. Deron Reed lives for that. And this is why he will come into to Washington and start from day one. So I see you got him going O-line with Rodriguez Wigham from Southern Cal.
Yes, sir. Now, I know they took Blake Meadows last year.
Yeah.
And Deron Reed is the best. Definitely he's the best running back in this draft. But I think that he avoids that, and I think he tries to solidify his O-line before, for high stakes. His O-line is older, still pretty rough. I don't know how close you look at Rodriguez, man, and I really like Bond, but this guy 6'8", 300 plus, man, and he tested out of this world, and he just threw people around at USC, man. He threw people around his whole career. 4-year starter, heck of a kid. I just think that the Redskins want to make this move here and solidify that O-line, but like you said, I really think that they could also go running back here, but I think it's just a little difference in opinion. But, I can see either way being a really good pick.
Yeah, I like Rodriguez Wigham. He's a monster, man, and he just towers over everybody. As you say, he's a good kid. He's very strong, so it's going to be hard for those defenders to even move him around, or even get up under his pads, or with the swim move, the spin. When you do a spin, you're gonna be trying to spin it right in his face. He's not gonna move. So this is a guy that could, tag team with Blake Meadows, man, and solidify that Washington Redskins O-line. So either way it goes, O-line or running back, both of those are positions that the Redskins need. So, not Bucky, Bruce. And we went through the top 10 picks. As you see, me and you both think differently on a lot of these picks. I think all of them. I don't think we had one pick that was alike. So
this is the first year. This is the first year it's ever been like this.
This is the first year me and you have selected different picks, different players for each pick. So it's going to be interesting to see who has the most picks right. So, this is the challenge. This is the challenge. This is the challenge I'm putting out to you.
What's up?
Whoever has the most picks right has to buy a DML T-shirt.
Okay. Cool.
So
I'll let you know my size when we get off air.
Yeah. Whoever has the most picks right has to buy a DML T-shirt for the other person.
Okay. I'm down.
Right. So that's our challenge, man. So as you guys look, those were the top 10 picks for the DML mock draft. Now, the real draft happens tomorrow at 11 a.m. So all the owners will be ready. The phone lines will be blown off the hooks tonight and first thing in the morning. So the owners are ready. I'm ready. Bruce Copper is ready. And it's going to be interesting to see where these guys fall. I wish all these guys luck. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Bucky the Brooks, Bruce Copper's mock draft. On that note, we're going to be out.
The Dynasty Madden League grind in 365.